Let's begin with Obama and his strengths and then weaknesses. His first and greatest strength was he was the president. He was the incumbent. He was in the office. And in our political system, incumbents tend to get reelected. Not always, but they have huge advantage. You know, every time Obama walks out the door, there are 100 television cameras. They're hanging on his every word. You know, he has hundreds of thousands of dollars and people managing his day-to-day life to the maximum. He has huge staff. He has Air Force One. We call it in American political context the bully pulpit. It's like having the preacher in church. He commands the front of the church. He commands the pulpit. And so I think that his incumbency was his first great advantage. The second great advantage, I believe, was that his basic message was very clear, very simple, and people ultimately bought it, which was this campaign is about moving forward, or Romney is about going back. No, we haven't done everything we want. Yes, it's been very difficult. Yes, we're all frustrated that things are not changing faster. But we can either continue in the direction we're going, or we can go back. And people felt that things were turning. They thought their economy was getting better. They began to feel better about the direction of the country. Not huge, not overwhelming, but enough. And that was the basic message of the Obama campaign, is forward or back. And Americans are optimistic. Elections are always about the future. And so it was about going forward. And then I think the third great advantage they had is they ran a better campaign. They had a team of professionals that had been together really since 2006 and 2007. Went all the way through together. They knew each other. They trusted each other. They had great instincts. They had an enormous amount of experience. They had a ton of money. They ran a better campaign day to day to day to day. In one sense, there's a sort of saying among campaign people: did we win today? Did we win yesterday? Did we win the week? And day after day after day, Obama won the day. Didn't win every day. You don't have to win every day. But more days than not, he won the day. And so I think that was the third thing. He ran a better campaign. The two big weaknesses of the Obama campaign were, one, the economy. It was, by American standards, our unemployment is very high. People were and are very impatient in our country. We want everything now. You know, we're the home of fast food. We want it now, and we want it hot and now. And so I think that the impatience of the American people, coupled with the slow economy and the slow growth, was a real disadvantage for the Obama campaign. And you can't blame the last guy very long. You can do that for a while. But Obama was actually, I think, fairly lucky in that he was able to establish that this was the mess that I inherited. And I think that helped him, but it was still his economy. That was the negative. And then I think the second big disadvantage for Obama was that he had lost so much of the enthusiasm and the excitement from 2008. I mean, frankly, in 2008, the excitement level was so high. People were so optimistic. They were so excited by this new guy, this new change, that nobody could have lived up to that expectation. It was sky high and unattainable, but yet it was still there. It came down to the point where people would go, yeah, I'm disappointed, but, and the but always was that they thought he was a decent guy trying to do the right thing in a very difficult environment. And that's what held him up. I mean, people believed that all along from 2008 along. His numbers about that, is he a good guy trying to do the right thing in a tough environment? The answer was yes. And that, although he wasn't super Obama, it was that basic level, I think, that held him up. Romney, the positives and negatives for for Romney. His positives were people believed he understood the economy. They thought he was a good businessman. They thought he knew how to handle the tough economic times. There were questions. The Obama people did a very good job, I think, about talking about the kind of business he ran, about putting people out of work, about stripping jobs out, etc. All of that had an impact. But it really was more about Romney's character than it was about his business experience, because people believed he understood business and he knew how to operate it, i.e. he had made a ton of money, so he must know what he's doing. I mean, that's sort of the standard. So that economic competence was very important for him. The second asset he had is that, as with Obama, he essentially kept running the election from 2008. He ran in 2008, he lost, and he did take some time off, and there was some downtime, but essentially he knew what he was doing. It wasn't, we have a saying here, it wasn't his first rodeo. He knew what was coming, and that experience, I think, helped him, particularly in the primaries, where he got by a lot of folks. His third asset was money, both his money, which ensured the campaign was well funded, but the outside groups, the Koch brothers, the independent expenditures, the super PACs, Karl Rove's group, they spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And Obama had plenty of money, but it was the fact that the challenger had as much money as the incumbent, I think, was a big positive for him. His three negatives were in some ways flip side of his positives. I think ultimately he lost because people didn't trust him and his character. They thought he was a nice guy, but he changed his positions. There was the view that he would sort of do anything and say anything to win, that there was a lack of founding principles that he would fight and bleed for. And I think that was his fundamental problem, in that he was viewed as someone who you just weren't sure what he was going to believe and what he was going to do from day to day. And that was a problem for him. It was a real problem. Secondly, I don't think he didn't run a flawless campaign. There were a number of mistakes in the campaign. As I talked about with Obama, did you win the day? Obama more often won the day. Each day, day in, day out, there were more mistakes, there were more, nothing huge, nothing crippling, but there were a number of things that day to day to day to day had a cumulative impact of not running a good campaign. It was the death of 1,000 cuts, if you will. And then I think his third great liability was he never had a clear message. There was never at the end of the day where you could walk up to somebody and say, what is Romney all about? Well, he ain't Obama. That was his message, really, was that I'm not the other guy. And ultimately, I think, unless things are absolutely disastrous, and they weren't, you can't not be the other guy. There's an old sort of saying, is this a referendum on the incumbent, yes or no, or is it a choice between the incumbent and the other and the challenger? And Romney wanted to make it a referendum on Obama. The reality was, Obama was able to convince people that, yeah, it's okay. We're not great. We're going to get better, but it's okay. And Romney and Obama people made the election a choice. Is it Obama or is it Romney? Is it my character or his character? Is it my vision or his vision? And ultimately, Romney didn't have that vision. He didn't have that depth of character that people responded to. So I think those were the basic strengths and weaknesses of each of the candidates.